that real quick and see who we're going to
Yeah.
crown this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know if I can like confidently throw out a pick for both games. I think more so just, I mean, I'm definitely, I could give my views on just how I think either team can win. I guess might as well start off with UConn Illinois. I think Illinois is probably, I would say, favored going into this game. We'll see what the sports books roll out in terms of betting lines and everything, but there's a fair chance Illinois opens up as a favorite. For me, it's going to come down to how Illinois defends UConn. I just think with the bigs that they roll out, it's going to be tough for them to stay with Alex Caravan. Alex Caravan did not have a good game against Duke, but I think a lot of that was attributed to him just exerting so much energy when defending Cam Boozer for most of the first half and a good majority, or I should say a good part of the second half too. Now, you're going to have to ask one of your bigs between Merkovich and Tomislav, whichever one gets switched on to AK to chase him off the screens, off the curls, the staggers, and that's a big ask for a 4-man, a 5-man. Humrick House, I think, isn't the quickest on his feet either, but he might be the guy that ends up seeing the most minutes when he is on the floor against AK. So I think that's going to be a big matchup. I think the health of Silas Demery is a big factor too. He's definitely lost some of his explosiveness and some of his, I think, confidence going to the basket behind the ankle injury he saw or leg injury, whatever it is that he suffered against St. John's in the Big East Championship. But a lot of it's going to be UConn shot making too. They have not shot the ball well at all this tournament. And yes, everyone's going to remember Braylon Mullins' shot, but he has not been very consistent from beyond the arc this tournament. Solo ball is still evidently struggling with confidence issues and just not finding his stride. His release looks completely off to where it was last year. Terrace Reed's going to be a big factor too. Can he handle what could be the largest front line that he's gone up against this tournament so far?
Yeah, I this is a very interesting one because it's a rematch. We actually both went to this game in the Garden, and UConn handled it well. They were able to get to their spots, and they played without Braylon Mullins, by the way. So this is going to be his first time playing against this Illinois team. And while I do think this is a courageous win and will be a great momentum booster, I am favoring Illinois in this one. I do feel like the fact that Illinois is the tallest team remaining in this tournament is going to be a big issue because I do think the Beaches brothers do match up very well with Terrace Reed. I think he'll make a living more than they will likely because he is just a stronger player in the paint. But I am worried about the shooting for UConn because Wagler is probably going to outmatch a guy like Mullins very quickly. Caravan can definitely get open, and I think he's going to have a far better game than this one. But it will likely be a very different game from that first one because this UConn team and this Illinois team have been on very separate paths since then. And although they are meeting very inconspicuously, I do think that this should be a great game in general. Don't discount either. I know we're saying that Arizona Michigan is the national championship deciding game. Shut up on that. This is a still important game, and a 3 seed or a 2 seed can beat a 1 seed. We've seen it time and time again, and I do feel like Illinois is the better of these two teams to beat a 1 seed, which is why I'm going to go for them. But let's switch over to Arizona. Unless you have
Really,
anything
really
before.
quickly,
Yeah.
really, really quickly, yeah. One thing which I remember from that game on Black Friday between Illinois and UConn is yes, UConn finished with a 13-point win. Probably should have been 20, but of course, Illinois made a strong second half effort. But it was just a really uncharacteristic performance from Illinois. Illinois got a bunch of great shots from three and just missed every single one, it felt like. They also got out rebounded in a game where Terrace Reed did not play too much because he was suffering an ankle injury that he suffered against BYU. Owens did play very sparingly, but wasn't obviously a very big factor in the game. He didn't see too many minutes. Listen, Illinois at that point, I mean, they got great shots in that game and just didn't make them. And very uncharacteristic rebounding performance from them too, with as tall of a front line as they have. Keaton Wagler was not Keaton Wagler at that point in the season. He's a complete match of nightmares. I mean, he's, I think, 6'7". I don't know who you ask to guard him. I mean, I would assume Silas opens up defending him. But Kylan Boswell's a problem too. Kylan went for 30 something in that game. I think 34. He could be a matchup problem too. He's strong, he's physical, he's stout. It's going to be tough for UConn. UConn's going to come out buckled in on the defensive end. It's also going to come down to Illinois being able to get stops against the elaborate sets UConn runs. But as you mentioned, let's get into Michigan, Arizona. You said some people are calling this the national championship game here. And yes, I do think UConn, Illinois will be really good as well. But more or less, I can understand the arguments for why people believe the winner of Michigan, Arizona will come out victorious in the national championship on Monday, next Monday, I should say. Who do you like in this game? Because I'm really, It's back and forth for me. I think I kind of have my pick, but I'm not sure if I'm there yet.
You want to go first?
Sure. I mean, I think the easy answer is I would lean towards Arizona because of Jaden Bradley. I think guards win in March, and granted, Elliot Cadeau has been really, really good this tournament, but he did have some forced turnovers against Tennessee. I still think he can make some inadvertent passes. I think he can still make some mistakes. And Jaden Bradley, I just think is such a tough matchup for Elliott. I mean, Bradley's one of the best defenders in the sport on the perimeter, and he's tough as nails, broad shoulders, got some height on Elliott too. It's going to be tough for Elliott to win that matchup. And listen, if he wins it, I got to give him his flowers. But Jaden Bradley, best closer in the sport this year. I think guards win in March, and for that reason, I lean towards Arizona. But it's so tough to ignore how good Yaxel Lendeborg has been. I mean, LeBron-esque performance against Tennessee the other day. He can do everything on the floor. Mara and Merez, I mean, there's probably no two teams that match up better in terms of just physical size than Arizona and Michigan this year. And these are the two teams we talked about. Rolling out the three big lineups, it's going to be a complete bloodbath. But I think when push comes to shove, guards making tough shots wins you games in the NCAA tournament. And I trust Jaden Bradley more than I do Ellie Cadeau.
Yeah, it's such a tough battle, and I'm gonna go with my original pick. I'm going Arizona. I do feel like yes, Arizona has struggled a little bit more than Michigan, but keep in mind that Michigan's hardest opponent was like Alabama.
But that's the way Arizona's played all year. They don't necessarily win convincingly, but it
Yeah.
still feels that they're never really at a threat of losing. Yes, it might be a 7, 6 point game, but Arizona's going to come out and find a way to extend a lead, pull away late. Michigan, I think one of the big storylines going into this game is Karshenkov probably matching up with Yaxel Lendeborg, because I think if I had to pinpoint any one player across the sport to be able to most effectively defend Yaxel, it's probably Ivan Karshenkov. And I think he's built to do it. I think he can move his feet quick enough. I think he's disciplined enough defensively, not fall in the shed on the not fall for the head fakes Yaxel throws to be able to get into the lane and finish around the rim. Listen, I mean, Yaxel's been my favorite non-UConn player this year. But I think he'll have a good game, but I think Karshenkov can get stops. And I think, again, Bradley's been the best closer this year. I think he's gonna show up when it matters.
Yeah, I actually do like that. I don't really see Karchenkov in the same light that you do, but I do think that is a very good matchup. And for matchup's sake, I mean, Mara and Krivas will be peak cinema. I think both of them play very similar games. I think Mara is a little bit better as a player, but Krivas can really dominate the paint when it matters. They're both very similar size, and Mara will finally be able to face up against a guy of a similar caliber to him. And it's going to show because I think the front court is going to be a little bit better as well for Arizona's purpose. Like we said about Ellie Cadeau as well, congrats on having a great season, Dusty May, but I just don't feel like this is where Michigan goes. They have looked like a national contending team since they beat Gonzaga in Players Era, and it will always stay that way for the rest of this year. But they got matched up with arguably the worst team to play against. They probably could have beat Duke this time around. They probably could have beat Florida. They probably could have beaten every 2 seed out there. But Arizona was the one team they just couldn't beat. So I'm going to roll with the Wildcats here. And I'm going to go with the Wildcats in the national championship, honestly, over both teams. I know I said earlier that we can't chalk up Arizona, Michigan to the national championship game because, the other two could still win it. But I just feel like when push comes to shove, this team shoves like no other team ever does. And there is no weakness. Like I know people say the 3-point shooting, the 3-point shooting, the 3-point shooting, and they still manage to win those games. In games where they get out rebounded, they still manage to win those games. They don't look as dominant. We don't have to be dominant to win games. Look at every NBA champion over the past like 10, 15 years. They've never looked incredibly dominant other than maybe the Warriors, and they still lost if you think of it like that. Look at college basketball in the same light too. Did Florida look overly dominant every single game? I mean, to an extent, yes, but they struggled to UConn in the second round. They struggled in a lot of those games. They had to come back in the national championship, and they still were one of the greatest teams we'll ever witness with our own eyes. Why is Arizona not being considered in that way? Just because, Michigan's gone crazy. Like, I like both teams, but I just feel like Arizona is a sheet of pure titanium armor, and nothing is going to stop them right now. I think they could definitely be stopped, but Michigan and Illinois are just not those two teams. And I don't know if there
Right.
is two teams that could stop them.
I mean, to beat Arizona, they just make it so tough. They make it so tough of a matchup defensive or offensively for the other team. Just with how they play defense is very similar to how Creighton played when they had Ryan Kalkbrenner, where they chase guys over the top of ball screens, funnel you into the paint to have to shoot over length, over height. And I think to beat them, you need guys that are capable of being really effective slashers going to the basket, and guys who can hit mid-range pull-ups. Because I mean, it's so tough to challenge that height that Krivas possesses. Koa P2 with the when he puts his arms up, you got the added height there with his wingspan. Korshenkov, you can throw into the mix too as like a small ball four playing the three. I mean, you got to hit shots from the mid range. You got to hit those floaters. You got to, I mean, honestly, if you can, you got to have a good finisher around the rim that can get those guys into foul trouble. But out of all the teams left in the Final Four, I mean, I don't think any one of the other three teams has guys that are exceptional at being able to just really attack the rim and I mean get those bigs into foul trouble the way that you kind of need to in order to beat Arizona. So we saw like against Kansas, you had Melvin Council, who really was just able to put his head down and attack. And that's why I think Kansas was able to win that game. Granted, it was a big Monday. Bill Self doesn't lose on Big Monday at Fog Allen, but still, I just think Arizona, with how they play defense, it's such a tough matchup. And I have a tough time seeing any team being able to get around that.
Yeah, it's kind of just the truth, and I like that point entirely. But I'm pretty much set. Like I think I've been on Arizona for a while now. I think you've heard me on that too, and I'm going to stay on them until they lose. And I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't think it's going to happen.
They've probably been the most consistent team across the sport this year. There's really, I mean, they only suffered the two losses in Big 12 play, and that was they're only in the regular season. They won the Big 12 tournament championship and the regular season championship, and they've been the most consistent all year. They've been honestly probably the best team all year too. Of course, Michigan's won in dominant fashion, but start to finish, Arizona has probably been the team to beat.